Hello and welcome to the course content overview video. So you're watching this video because you're studying marketing communications or you're interested in the topic of getting to yes. And this video will give you a really quick overview of what we're going to be covering in the subsequent lectures. So first of all, marketing communications is interested in consumer behavior. So what is consumer behavior? It's the study of processes involved with an individual purchases or groups of individuals purchase, use, or dispose of products, services, or ideas in order to satisfy needs and wants. So you have needs and wants on one side of the equation. You have a consumer, and then you have products, services, and ideas. And your job is to bring those together. So there's a detailed map there of the topics. We'll take a look at that in another video. So why is this important anyway? Well, it's important because ultimately you, that's you, are trying to get someone to say yes. Someone to say yes to thinking, feeling, or acting in a particular way about your service, product, or idea. You do that by crafting creative messages. Those creative messages are stimuli in consumer behavior speak. And you need to understand how those stimuli in the context of perception and decision making will impact somebody's ultimate decision to buy or not to buy, or to like or not to like. So, on to the next slide. Oh, caveats. So we're going to present a bunch of models and a bunch of processes, and some of them have kind of neat looking boxes with arrows going between the boxes and that type of thing. Just one thing to keep in mind with all of this is that it's not as simple as it looks. It's been simplified in order to help you learn about it. We have a framework, we have steps, we have processes, but in reality, sometimes it never happens that way. Sometimes it does though, and that's why it's worth looking at this framework as a way of hanging things off of. Okay. So all models are wrong. Some models are useful. Hopefully these are useful. Now, the more you study this stuff, the more alternatives you see that exist. But, we don't need to worry about that right now. On to the Miro. So we're back, this time in an application called Miro, which I'll explain to you in more detail some other time. Right now, it's all about the content. So I like to think about this course, or I've been trying to think about this course, as a bit of a story. And a story has a cast of characters. So this is my interpretation of the cast of characters for our story. And basically, you've got the client, the customer, and you, the agency. So I'm just going to zoom in here a little bit on the client, because the client is the person paying you to craft creative messages, or to do media planning, or to do whatever it is that you're learning how to do. It's part of the grand scheme of marketing communications. And the client has a marketing mix, which you should be familiar with. It's got product, place, promotion, price. Sometimes it has people, packaging, and positioning as well, but it doesn't really matter. It's just you need to understand who it is that's paying the bills and who is it that has an objective. And that objective is really the promotion objective is what we're focused on here. And you and the client, sometimes the client just has it. Sometimes you're hired to help create it. It's a strategy, something called a strategy, which, really has to answer three questions. What is your product, service, or idea? What is it? Who's your audience? And what do you want them to think, feel, or do as it relates to your product? It might be something as simple as, yes, buy this brand of gum next time you want gum. Or it might be more of a feeling and more of a brand awareness type of thing. Whatever it is, it's important that you have those questions answered. Whether the client has them already answered or whether you have to help the client create them. So this section here is called You, the Agency. And, you're creating these things called stimuli. I call them stimuli because that's what they call them in consumer behavior, and I think that's a fun word. But they're really ads, okay, or creative messaging or whatever. And as we get into the other pieces of the model, you'll see why the stimuli thing works. But for now, just think stimuli. You are in the business of crafting effective stimuli. Anyway, down here, you're the learner. You're a creator of sensory stimuli with purpose and intention. usually to sell a product, service, or idea. So this little guy kind of represents you. And you release you create these stimuli, they go off into an ecosystem, which you do that through media planning and that sort of thing. And you're doing it to influence a decision. You need to understand some of the processes behind that and the context that your audience is in if you actually hope to reach them. And we'll take a closer look at that in a few minutes. So the unique selling propositions wrapped up into your creative messaging, and you are targeting somebody, and that somebody is the customer with needs and wants. And we'll talk about the customer. I like to think of the customer as an individual. And I usually start it with a C name like Charlie or Charlene, or maybe it's just C. Gender indeterminate. Anyway, whoever they are, they have needs and they wants. And, what does yes mean to them? So, that's our cast of characters. See you next time at Tom Teaches.